Okay. So, this is going to be a test of streaming content creation for the Light RPG. So, normally I start by picking a genre that I want to emulate, or in this case, a bit of fiction. Believe, what do they call that? Media touchstone. Yeah, that's what they call it. Okay. Uh, so in this case, we're going to be using something called Made in Abyss, which is an anime. Warning, if you're at this point, that there are going to be numerous spoilers for the existing manga, which even goes beyond where the anime has progressed. So this is a little difficult for me because I've got headphones on, so I can't really hear myself very well. Something I'm going to have to get used to. Probably have to listen to my own streams a couple times before I really get into getting my voice into a proper cadence. But the first thing we're going to do is we're going to create 8 characters. And we're going to create their names first. Not their actual names, but the names by which the consumer is going to know them. So, as you can see on the stream, I've got the pictures of the characters here, but I don't know their names off the top of my head. That's not actually necessary. In some rare cases, I will use the character names themselves or something very similar. But in this case, I'm not actually making an official Made in Abyss character. I'm making a template, how does one say? I'm making a prefab, a prototype, that if you filled out the questions correctly, or correctly in a certain way, you would end up with these characters. So we're going to start with the main character, who is a little girl who is very adventuresome. So we really want to capture that youthfulness, but also her drive, right? So we're going to say she is the driven. Well, in the case of Made in Abyss, all of the characters are in fact all of the characters are archaeologists, miners, whatever. So so she's driven. What's another character trait of hers? No, she is kind of. It's not that she's a genius, because there are characters that are geniuses, but she's a. So at this point, rather than just like beating my head against the wall, I'm gonna go to the next character, but we'll come back to her. Let's do the robot kid. So let's call him the artificial. That's really, really simple. That's really all there is to his character. at a basic level. He is not human, and he wants to be human, or he feels like that. I mean, he feels separated from the others. Like, am I human? What is my purpose? That kind of stuff. The other characters always know, like, human characters know who they are, but the artificial human often wants to emulate humanity better. So the artificial human, that's a pretty good one. Continuing to the left, there's a little girl there who is the apprentice of the woman directly above her, the very tall woman, who's often depicted hunched over, but we'll get to her. In fact, as we go through, we may actually diagram out more than characters, but for the purposes of what gets posted on Patreon, we really focus on 8, and we're gonna clean them up as best we can. So she's the apprentice. In fact, it's she, not really. This character is, in fact, spoilers again, although very minor. This character is a boy, and just dresses like a girl. Although I'm not sure that that's going to play a key role into these words that describe the character, like the title. But so the apprentice, the stubborn apprentice. Let me be stubborn. Let's put stubborn up here, because stubborn's another trait that defines the main character. Stubborn, particularly stubborn. I guess you could say she kind of, I don't know if she suffers. And again, in this case, I'm referring to the character as a girl because that's the way the character presents themselves in the anime, and it's only a kind of an aside where one of the characters says, "Hey, wait a second," I believe it's the robot character says, we actually both have the same genitals, kind of forming a kind of a relationship between their character concepts, because the robot, frequently mentioned, does in fact have a penis, but as does the other character, but they're not they don't think of their penis as in the same way that a normal human boy might. So that's kind of the way that they kind of connect on that level. Well, apprentice, the young, we could do inexperienced. I think that would fit within the space. Although inexperienced isn't exactly true. Yeah, the young apprentice, and that can work. Continuing on, we have two characters who are really inseparable. Nobody could play the character on the floor there. Midi, one of the few characters' names I remember vividly after watching this anime. But the character with the bunny ears certainly is very playable, and actually a very good archetype for this kind of thing. So that would be the successful experiment. And again, I am terrible at spelling, especially when I can't hear my own brain because of these headphones. But thankfully, Word does a little bit of spell checking for me. Gets that taken care of. The character directly above is certainly Bone Daddy. There is Bone Dread, something of that nature, is not going to be a playable character at all. At least not within the 8 that we're thinking about. So let's but could certainly, what would he be? I mean, he's a mad scientist kind of character, so honestly kind of boring, except for the fact that, again, spoilers, he has sacrificed his own soul to become his own white whistle, and actually controls the bodies of like apparently hundreds of men. So you can kill one of them and he just transfers his soul to the next one. So he's somewhat immortal in that way, and but isn't really human anymore. So I don't know what to do with him, so we'll just keep going. The next character, let's there we go. The next character is the tall woman there with the white hair, and she is she's terrifying in the show, although she's actually a good person. Just she's also lost part of your humanity by being in the depths of the abyss so long. So that's an interesting question about what to do with her. She has a name, so let me look that up, because I know the Made in Abyss characters. There's like a list of the characters, and sometimes looking at like TV tropes or so will help me. So Ozen, the Immovable. Okay, there you go. So her name is the Immovable Lord. That's great. The Immovable Lord, which, you know, definitely calls to that character, but which is you know, it's not something that's easily like copyrighted. It's not like they have the copyright to the words the Immovable Lord. That's just kind of, you know, adjective, noun. Same thing with let's say like Bone Druid, the novel. Yeah, Bone Dread, Bone Druid, Bone Daddy. That's what a lot of people call him. The novel. Yeah, I guess what I would do is call the evil, the father figure. There we go. That's it. That's a good one. I like that. Again, so let's go back up to the Rico is her name. So again, super spoilers at this point. Rico is actually a zombie, or arisen, or animated from the dead, and she was dead at one point, and now she's alive. So, let's see. So she likes to eat things. Well, she's good at cooking, but that's not. Ooh. Her mother was a wild woman. That's interesting. Prodigy. See that? She's not exactly a prodigy. See, and this is where it's kind of difficult. God. Oh, here's a good thing. Never going home again. So she's never going back home. That's her. Plucky. Ooh, I like Plucky. Plucky is a good one. The Plucky Prodigy. I think any mention of zombies can be. Alright, well, we'll just, we'll come back to her. Obviously, we have to do her. She's the main character. But kind of hard there. Again, like the Immovable Lord, probably not going to be a character that we include. Alright, continuing to the right of her, of the Immovable Lord. We've got, he is the current kid in charge of the orphanage, where most of the kids are from. And so kind of want to do something discussing like Rufio or Peter Pan, because he's the kid who's all grown up. And that's kind of a big part of his character, how he still relates to the other orphans. So, the Peter Pan. Yeah, sounds good to me. The big guy next to him is, considered too old to normally be doing what he's doing, which doesn't stop any of the other characters. But it's more like he started old, and he hasn't really acquired much in the way. I guess the other characters who are very old have acquired like ways to extend their lives, and it's kind of like that he's actually an old person who just started. He's like a black whistle, so he's not quite at their level yet. So he's, I don't think we're gonna worry about him too much. He's just I like Plucky for him. He's kind of plucky, but plucky old man. Wonderful match with one word. And then next to him is his wife, who is, I think, 1 episode, maybe 2, so not terribly important. So we're just going to completely skip over her. She doesn't really have enough lines for me to get a good read on her. The next character is the mom, who we're not going to do. She's the legendary figure they're all chasing after, so she's more myth than real. Next character I don't actually recognize. So that's either the dad or some other character I just don't. One of the characters is the healer or librarian or whatever, and the owner of the orphanage, the lady who runs it. Again, they get so little screen time, I'm not going to worry about them. Don't really get a good feel for them. And then there's the 3 kids there. So how many do we have? So we have 5. Wait, yeah, 5. So we could do the 3 kids. I do remember there being more than 3 kids. So let's see who these are. Let's see the others. Yeah, so the Ozen's assistant, Maruk. Oh, he's sensitive to sunlight. I should probably like whistle into something like some of the characters. The driven. Mania? No. There we go. Yeah, Jiruo is the instructor, and Halbolg is the old man. Where are the other kids who, do play a fairly significant role? Let's see. Here we go. So, Nat kind of honestly comes across that the kids in the orphanage are not as important as other people. I mean, they're fairly prominent in the early episodes, but I guess not as much later on. So let's not worry about that. All right. Well, if I move these up, there you have 8. Don't really know what I could do with the little kid. Okay, well, this is off in the process, so we've got 8 now. Formatting in Word, always fun. All right, so we've got our 8. 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. So now the question is, when I look at these names, do I think of the character? She's certainly driven to find her mother. Driven adventurer? We'll go with that for now. I mean, we can always come back and change it. It's kind of only reflected in one location on the actual document, so we're not going to worry too much about that. Next step is we need to have the character sheets. So we're going to clear out a character sheet here of existing data. Oops. This is actually one of the pony sheets that I was working on. And actually 3+ is going to be wholly inappropriate for this. So we're going to get rid of that for now. And then we're just going to delete everything else. So then we're going to go into the folder. And we're going to grab the correct so what I decided was we're going to do 18 plus. It's going to get to some really adult subject matter. We're going to put that text in front. Makes it right. And actually, I shouldn't have deleted anything. There we go. Now I gotta delete all this stuff, but we'll paste that first. Okay. Shouldn't have deleted through first. Okay. So we'll just put that roughly there to kind of size it. And I'm not particularly precise with any of this stuff. It just has to be close enough. No, it's not. That looks pretty close. Again, I'm not, super into making these all line up exactly. Let's try a different one. See what I did here. So there should be. That's not right. This one has finished and published characters. Let's see what I did here. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And this thing lines up with the second line there. Right. Yep. And the paragraph symbol there. Okay. So we're going to take this particular thing and we're going to copy the whole thing. Copy the whole page. Let me just paste. It's 9, so we're gonna need 9 because it's 8 characters. Okay, then we're gonna go back up here and we're going to put their names in. So, Pokey Old Man, we'll do 1. Move forward. And I've actually looked into ways of automating this more, but there's just it's 8 characters. This usually takes me a day or two. I mean, not like a day or two worth of full work, but a day or two worth of, like, a couple hours a day to do. I mean, fact, for one convention, I churned out, I think it was 54 different character sheets. Peter Pan. So that's, you can see that's about the limit of where the characters go, lengthwise, because that's just where everything's been formatting. Oh, so let's do the plucky old man first. I think I'm only going to see what the stream duration is at this point. Been running for 25 minutes, so I think we'll do this for another 5 minutes and then I'll take a break. So, you know, plucky old man. Let's see. Okay. So, there's two ways I can go about a character. First is to select the skills. That is, kind of pick what skills that character's going to have. So in this case, we're going to go here, and then I'm going to pull up the skills sorted. Okay. So what would he start with A again? Because I want them to be alphabetically listed. Athletics. He's certainly athletic, especially for his age. What else should he have? Climbing. Oh, he's definitely got climbing. Although climbing and athletics are somewhat similar. In this case, I think it follows very well. He's not particularly good at combat, though. Let's give him something. That was actually, here's a new one I hadn't thought of before. History. So I know, surprising. History. And we'll give him history, that I'll give him something in like the R's or something. Oh. Navigation, yeah, so history will go here. Now, because the characters, players selected 2 of these, it's perfectly fine to have like a double up like that. Even 3 that are, well, as long as you don't have 3 that are very similar. But 2 that are very similar, like athletics and climbing, they could actually be 2 completely different things. Not every climbing exercise is a quote-unquote athletics, and not every bit of athletics is climbing. So you could have situations in which your knowledge of climbing allows you to construct tools to climb, and your straight-up athletics would not help you with that. So, you know, obviously athletics is the superior if you're just kind of thinking it from straight up, I want to climb something perspective, but a skill in climbing might be factored into more of a knowledge of climbing. So you might say, okay, well, I have a skill in climbing, therefore I know how to find a safe path that is easy to climb for the injured members of our party. Or you might be able to say, I know from my climbing experience that rock wall might collapse or something like that. So climbing can be like a more general knowledge of climbing. And same thing with history. Your knowledge of history can help you remember or know things about history, but also in a more, you could even take that in a more active sense to where you could say, well, I'm a little wise because of it. So I know this historical story that I can tell someone, and that's going to sway them to my position or something. So there's a lot of ways you could use things. Obviously, you can't say, oh, well, I convinced them I'm such a great climber that they want to do what I say. Maybe if it's been declared somewhere in the fiction that they are in fact interested in climbers, maybe that's something that's been brought up before. Someone has said that, but if that isn't the case, it may not be as useful. All right, let's see what we are on the stream. Once again, yeah, so 30 minutes. So we're gonna cut it there, and pick up where we left off later. All right, thanks for listening.